Senator Chuck Schumer unveils proposal to reopen the government, and I believe the Republicans have already said no to it.
What the Senate is doing isn't working for either party and isn't working for the American people. Democrats have said we must address the health care crisis, but Republicans have repeatedly said they won't negotiate to lower the health care costs until the government reopens. So let's find a path to honor both positions. Democrats would like to see an end to this shutdown, and we want to respect Leader Thune's desire not to negotiate on ACA until after the government reopens. Therefore, we'd like to offer a simple proposal that would reopen the government and extend the ACA premium tax credits.
This is your brain when you're struggling.
And then have the opportunity to start negotiating longer-term solutions to health care costs. Let's do all three. I've spoken with my caucus, and Democrats are offering a very simple compromise. Democrats are ready to clear the way to quickly pass a government funding bill that includes health care affordability. Leader Thune just needs to add a clean one-year extension of the ACA tax credits to the CR so that we can immediately address rising health care costs. That's not a negotiation. It's an extension of current law, something we do all the time around here, as we all know. But we also offer this. Let's create a bipartisan committee that will continue negotiations after the government reopens on reforms, ahead of next year's enrollment period, to provide long-term certainty that health care costs will be more affordable. This proposal reopens the government and ensures working families who are shopping right now for their health care get certainty and financial relief. While open enrollment has begun, insurers can update their rates after we pass a simple extension of the tax credits. With this approach, we do not negotiate health care in the shutdown, as Leader Thune has maintained he wishes, and the American people get the tax credit extension they want. That is what many of our Republican colleagues have floated over the last 6 weeks as a compromise, a one-year tax credit extension and reforms to the credit beyond that. We will agree with the Republican request not to start negotiations until after the government reopens. All Republicans have to do is say yes to extend current law for 1 year. It makes sense. And since what we're proposing is only a simple extension of current law, the Senate could do this within a few hours. This is a reasonable offer that reopens the government, deals with health care affordability, and begins a process of negotiating reforms to the ACA.
Someone in the chat said Hassan's room has probably been occupied by like corporate lobbyists. It's true. I also sat my ass on a couch that has seen Nancy Pelosi's ass over and over again yesterday. So I think this is a decent strat. Hasanabi, cynically speaking, the Dems can posture without having to do anything, and the Republicans are too evil to care about the effects in the country. Yeah, Republicans have already rejected Democrats' offer to end the shutdown. I think they need to do more. Democrats need to do more as far as like messaging. They need to be everywhere all the time, constantly talking about how the Republicans are dangling the starvation. The Republicans are dangling the starvation of 40 million Americans as a point of leverage against offering healthcare to tens of millions of Americans. Like, it's crazy. DC hotels are famous for surveillance. Yeah, probably. Schumer says this is a reasonable offer. Republicans are almost certain to reject it. 1R just noted that all this does is force Congress to address it around the midterms next year. Dream scenario for Dems to be able to talk about healthcare right before the elections. Yeah, no, it was smart. It's smart because yes, the year-long extension literally brings the conversation back to the forefront right before the midterms, and it's like that's not something that Republicans are gonna be on board with, you know. But the answer to that is okay. Then we do an extension. What, 2 years into the future? Like, their only counter could be, okay, we'll do a longer extension of ACA subsidies. More on the Dem offer: clean CR paired with 3-bill minibus, clean 1-year Obamacare extension, established bipartisan committee for long-term Obamacare negotiations. I might be libbed up, but conceding is the worst move. Let Republicans kill the filibuster. Dems never will. ACA lapsing, then people hate Trump more. And yeah, but the problem with the ACA lapsing in that situation is like you are losing tens of millions of people that previously had healthcare, you know? So there is like the cynical operative attitude that people have, but then they also do have to care about making sure that people don't, you know, lapse in their coverage because it's too expensive. You know what I mean? It's this, like, as much as I hate these people, as much as I hate politicians, let's be real. This is a real calculation that they have to make. They're not like sitting around thinking, who cares if people starve? They'll get angry and they'll hate Trump. Like, they do care when people starve. Even from a cynical, shrewd, operative perspective, they care because when people starve, they also start getting mad at them, right? If there's one group that doesn't care when people starve, is the Republicans. They've made that fucking clear. It's obvious, especially because they're like literally dangling that as a threat, which is crazy. But I do think that like the Democrats are more responsive to that. What's happening? Since when is Hasan pro-politicians? Have I missed something, or he joined the Democratic plan? Yes, I am a ride or die defender of the Democratic Party. And only because I'm in DC, even though I've been backing Chuck Schumer doing this in spite of my overwhelming criticisms against him since the moment that he did it.
Tax credits for the future. Now, the ball is in the Republicans' court.
Adam Mockler had a good talking point here. Let's see.
Can I just ask, to either of the Republicans on this panel, would you rather see this government shutdown end in Trump's preferred way, which is terminating the filibuster, or Democrats' preferred way, which is extending health care? What do you say?
First of all, I'm not a Republican.
Okay, to be fair, both options seem good to me. If the Republicans concede and they don't pass they don't nuke the filibuster and they concede to the Democrats, then healthcare is funded. If they do actually hit the filibuster, if they do actually destroy the filibuster, then like the entire dynamic of senatorial runs changes.
Sorry. Then what do you say? I want to see what do you say?
I ran for city council as a Democrat in the city of New York. Lost by 100 votes.
Then I want to ask you, what do you say about that?
I'm a New Yorker.
Okay, answer my question. Answer my question then. Answer my question.
From all the YouTubers creating docu-style videos about how bad of a person you are, these YouTubers are ruthless. Yeah, I know. There's never been a bigger division between what like the overwhelming internet forces believe and try to desperately get their fans to agree with and believe versus the reality. At least in my career, I've never thought that it would be like this, where it's like in the real world, most normal people are like, dude, you seem like a chill guy. You know, I like your worldview. I would like to advance this agenda. But then if you go on the internet, it's like, I am literally the biggest evil villain. Like Donald Trump could be facilitating executions of slop tubers, okay, outside of the White House. And slop tubers would still be talking about, you know who's actually more evil than Trump? Hasan.
Labels, you know why we are where we are?
Answer my question.
You just said, I'm answering your question. But this is why we are where we are. Because we've become so partisan. We've forgotten about the people who don't put gas in their car. We've forgotten about the people who can't feed their kids. We're more worried about here's why the Democrats are not motivated to settle this. Because history will say, under Donald Trump, it was the longest government shutdown. So it'll be it'll be now.
We're getting there. We're getting there.
So for them, for the Democrats, it's going to be down on his scorecard. I wish Congress would go to their home districts and see the people suffering.
You want to know who
and then come back to Washington and then make their decisions.
Somebody is, and it's Marjorie Taylor Greene, and she's taking the sides of the Democrats actively. She has talked to her constituents, and she said their health care premiums are about to skyrocket. So, again, one party clearly has the moral high ground. Let me ask the same question. How should the shutdown end? The way that Trump wants it to end?
It should end that it always... There's one way it typically has always ended.
Negotiation.
Under Biden.
Thank you. That's what I'm saying.
Biden,
negotiation.
It always ends with a clean
with
CR.
Negotiation.
No. I reject your premise.
Wait, what do you mean you reject the premise? Like, that's how it ends. Until one side concedes. You're just basically saying that Donald Trump has presented two options. One, erodes the filibuster, which a lot of congresspersons, especially on the Republican side, are fearful of, and maybe even many Democrats are, because it makes the Senate unable to pass bills. Okay? it basically makes it so that the Senate cannot pass bills. Can you explain why destroying the filibuster, especially in this context, is warranted given the current atmosphere and who's in control? Because there's no other world where this happens. Because the Democrats would never do it. I know Bernie is anti-filibuster repeal. I know. The filibuster is an important part of what the Senate is. Right now, we should maintain the filibuster. Bernie has used the filibuster in the past. And Bernie has defended the filibuster and not eradicating. Yes, the filibuster bill means a bill needs 60 votes instead of 51. Yes. Where do you stand on it? Oh, I'm in favor. Like, if they, as Adam Mockler presents here, if they pass an extension of the ACA and concede on the demands that the Democrats are making, fantastic. That galvanizes the base, that shows that when the Democrats fight, they win. And it's also good for people's health care to be covered. Okay? That's good. If they abolish the filibuster, that's also good in the long term as well.
So, hold on. Donald Trump wants to terminate the filibuster. Democrats want to extend health care credits. Which of these sides would you choose?
I reject that premise.
Okay,
I think the way that
Travelers feeling turbulence coast to coast as the FAA cancels hundreds of flights at 40 major airports because of the government.
Another Adam Mockler clip.
Are you an anchor baby?
Define anchor baby. Is that when your parent...
No, I don't want to do this right now. Let's continue.
Shutdown.
Everybody's suffering in the country because of the shutdown.
More than 800 flights already canceled this morning. Frustration mounting.
It affects your money, your expenses, and that's tough.
Would you be open to getting a backup ticket?
You had to have backup money. I don't have that.
Some travelers who were notified of flight cancellations now opting to cancel their trip altogether instead of rebooking.
I don't know when all this is going to, end.
The 40 airports impacted, including the country's busiest, from Atlanta to Los Angeles, Chicago, New York, Boston, and Miami. Airlines told to reduce flights by 4% today, ramping up to 10% over the next several days. American canceling around 220 daily flights, Delta canceling 170, and United canceling just under 200 per day.
If you're in a market with only 2 small regional flights and you cancel one or both of them, that's a huge impact to that market. We want to avoid that. And so what we're doing is really spreading it around the system.
The Trump administration says they're trying to ease the strain on 13,000 air traffic controllers, but some critics argue it's just a move to pressure Democrats to reopen the government as the shutdown reaches day 38.
It is pretty crazy that the Republicans and their posture throughout this entire process has just been, no, we're going to keep fucking shit up. We're going to fuck it up further. And it's pretty crazy. The spread here is chicken wings, a turkey club, and French fries, and deviled eggs. Sean Duffy should go to jail for his crime against transportation and travel. I agree. Just in general. On principle, I agree with that.
This, as more than 60,000 TSA agents are also working without pay. These essential workers forced to decide if they can even afford to keep showing up on the job.
This is the little bit that is in here. This is enough to hold over for maybe another week. The fridge is pretty much empty.
Maggie Sabatino is a lead TSA agent in Philadelphia and a mother of 2.
We were told if you call in sick, you have to provide medical documentation. When I call out, I tell them the truth. Can't afford childcare.
So you can see the impact here. The airlines say for passengers who are going to experience a canceled flight, they hope to be able to notify them a day in advance and then rebook them on another flight. For passengers who do not want to be rebooked, they are entitled to a full cash refund.
Days into the government shutdown, this morning a federal judge accusing the White House of withholding federal food assistance.
No. People keep asking, is your trip to China cooked? No.
For political
China is international travel, and they have not touched international travel so far. They might. It's the delays that happen on the domestic travel front. Yeah, cruelty for cruelty's sake is right. The Trump administration asked a federal appeals court for an emergency pause on federal judge's order to fully fund SNAP benefits this month. It is one of the most insane things I've ever seen, dude. They are actively saying, no, we want to starve people. We want to starve people. And it blows my fucking mind. It blows my mind that is like, what if you get stuck in China? I'm not worried about getting stuck in China. I'm worried about getting stuck in DC.
Reasons and ordering the administration to fully distribute SNAP benefits by today. Judge John McConnell saying, quote, people have gone without for too long. Not making payments to them for even another day is simply unacceptable. Vice President J.D. Vance arguing it's not up to the courts to decide.
In the midst of a shutdown, we can't have a federal court telling the president how he has to triage the situation.
Just days ago, the administration had agreed to tap into more than $4.5 billion in emergency funding to partially fund SNAP, which 42 million Americans rely on. The White House insisted those payments would still go out. Even after the president posted on social media, SNAP benefits will be...
Bro, this is also such an insane moment because the thing is, like, Trump could have looked like a hero to be like, I saved SNAP, and just lied. And was like, I have the contingency funds. I found it. I saved it. The Democrats want to keep going with the shutdown because they want to starve you. Meanwhile, he's just like, nope. I want to purposely look like a fucking villain. This doesn't make any sense. I don't know why he's stress testing the system like this.
Even only when the radical left Democrats open up government. The judge pointing to the president's own words, accusing the administration of defying the court's order and causing irreparable harm, saying, quote, the evidence shows that people will go hungry, food pantries will be overburdened, and needless suffering will occur. So the administration does plan to appeal this ruling. Back here on Capitol Hill, the Senate is expected to vote for the 15th time to reopen the government. And even as so many Americans out there are worried about whether or not they're going to receive their benefits, federal workers are going without pay. Right now, lawmakers are still getting their paycheck, even though the House of Representatives has been out of town and out of session for 49 days, Michael.
Yeah, it's embarrassing at this point, Rachel. It really is. Thank you.
Like, I know they want to get rid of SNAP.
President Trump announcing that early next year the price of weight loss drugs Wegovy and Zepbound.
Not a stress test when he's trying to get the system to fail. It's just like, he's also really annoyed with the whole like affordability stuff. Ironically, he campaigned on that and won on that. You know, fixing the prices, making groceries cheaper. And he is actively making it more expensive, both with the tariffs, both with the instability, both with the cuts to subsidies, and also with the cuts to SNAP in general. And it's like, I don't know where he's going with this shit. You know what I mean? Like, that's why you're seeing hella people experience buyer's remorse right now.
That will be dropping drastically, potentially impacting millions of Americans, including seniors on Medicare.
This is a triumph for American patients that will save lives and improve.
Do you think he thinks everyone is rich, Law? Yes. He is surrounded by people who are so far removed from the realities of poverty that he can't even comprehend it, I think.
Improve the health of millions and millions of Americans.
Right now, these drugs, known as GLP-1s, cost roughly $500 a month for people without insurance, making them out of reach for many Americans. But in the coming months, that price for the starter doses will fall to $350 a month and down to $250 over the next 2 years. The drugs will also soon be covered for people on Medicare who are severely obese, though not people who are simply overweight.
Just as significantly, Medicare and Medicaid will finally cover the cost of these weight loss drugs for millions of patients suffering from obesity.
Those on Medicare will pay just a $50 copay. Access will also be expanded for qualifying people on Medicaid who could end up paying virtually nothing. With many on these drugs for life, I asked Dr. Mehmet Oz, who oversees Medicare and Medicaid, if he's confident the prices won't go back up.
And you can guarantee the American people that once these costs go down, they're going to stay down.
I'm guaranteeing the American people that the tariff change by the Supreme Court won't affect these prices. There may be other manufacturing issues that can drive prices up and down, but I feel very confident that now we've set the standard.
And there are also lots of questions about the pill form of these drugs that are being developed but are still not approved by the FDA. But when they do become available under Trump's plan, the lowest dose could cost just $150 a month. And the Trump administration is also touting a new website, TrumpRx.gov, that's expected to go live in January, where patients will be able to compare the prices from various manufacturers. Now, the government won't actually be selling the drugs through this website. Instead, this is an effort to increase transparency about what these drugs actually cost, guys.
Yep, you got to do the math. Mary, thank you.